joining us. As we turn now to Daniel Carmon, Israel's Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations. We welcome you to Democracy Now!
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
It's good to have you with us. Can you respond to the Amnesty report?
Well, I'd rather not respond specifically to what I've heard. Amnesty International is a very respectable organization, and I'm sure they're doing a good job, but I still feel that many things have been lacking from what I heard. We haven't seen the report yet, and we'll be glad to comment later on on the specifics, but I think that we should not on the specifics, but I think that we should not forget the background to all of what happened. And if we are talking about a war that has been inflicted upon Israel something like 6 weeks ago, it didn't come out of nothing. There is a whole infrastructure that was amassing during all those years. I'm talking for at least 6 years of a whole region. Lebanon as a country, southern Lebanon especially, were completely hijacked, occupied by terror, by terrorism, by a terrorist organization coming as a subcontractor for two very unrespectable states like Iran and Syria, who have decided to divert the world's attention from their own problems by inciting Hezbollah, and Hezbollah gladly did so. Now, we're talking about a region. My predecessor in this program talked about the distinction. We're talking about a region where there was no distinction. And quoting leaders, I would quote leaders not selectively. I would quote leaders on both sides. I would quote Lebanese leaders or Lebanese officials, including the ones we meet here at the United Nations, who said and will continue, I guess, explaining that there is hardly any distinction between Hezbollah and the civilian population, and this whole region was a region in which you could not make the distinction between one and the other. Now, during all those years, the whole region was filtered by these terrorist organizations with great help of those two countries in Iran and Syria. And what we saw is a state within a state, thousands of missiles being directed against Israel. The potential was there all the time. We warned the international community, and then one day, 12th of July, the war erupted. It was probably an irreversible process that started, and the main obligation of any democracy, the main obligation of any state, is to protect its citizen, and this is exactly what Israel has been doing.
But Ambassador, I understand you don't want to respond to the direct allegations of Amnesty International in its report, but on this whole issue of distinction, areas that were hit, like the television stations, like these hospitals, like the roads that, while they may have had military use by Hezbollah, clearly they were crucial for the civilian population even to be able to get out of the area. How do you respond to the issue of these kinds of targets being hit on such a systematic basis by Israel?
Well, we did try to make the distinction, and we also, in some way, in the way Israel acted, and I must say that Israel acted prudently and cautiously towards the civilian population, the one that you can make the distinction about before attacking. And there is, I hope there is no, we cannot argue about the right or the obligation of Israel to act in self-defense as it did against the threat. Before attacking, Israel did ask for hours or for days before attacking, by the way, endangering the success of the attack, asked the population to leave the areas in order for itself not to be in danger. In many instances, the population did leave left the area to just the terrorists were there and were attacked. I mean, we did make the distinction that maybe is pretty difficult to do.
Ambassador Cormon, the figures of fatalities. You have Lebanese 1,183 fatalities. Over 90% of them civilian, about a third of the fatalities children. You have close to 1 million Lebanese people displaced, 970,000. Israeli, you have 120 people killed, 30% of them civilian. How do you justify the overwhelming number of civilians, over 1,000 Lebanese, who were killed?
If those figures are true and the number of civilians is as you have described, this is something that really has to be checked. And if we already have said, and this is something that is in line with what even my predecessor in this program has said, we cannot for sure prove that all the civilians in southern Lebanon were purely innocent civilian. But we cannot justify, and we do not try to justify the killing of innocent civilians. And I must tell you, and I'm sure that you know, the Israeli doctrine in which deliberate killing of civilians is beyond the question. But we should go back to the background. We should go back to
without going to history. The response of the human rights community that Israel has long